YouTube, what's going on with y'all? Today I made a beat for EST since he dropped this album a couple weeks ago, so let's get right into it. Alright, so I'd say this is pretty much one of my favorite beats I made this year so far. I don't know why, but I really with this beat. So yeah, let's get right into the deconstruction. The first thing I did to make the melody, started out with the melody at first. I opened Contact and just messed around on my MIDI keyboard. I used the session horns bank for this. Used the full section preset, just messed around with some of the knobs, and ended up with this. It's not too crazy, just played this on my MIDI and like quantize it later on. And I just messed around with the velocities too. As you can hear, like the velocity changes a lot in the preset. It really like changes the emotion and the feeling of the trumpet. It gives it like a harsher feel, makes it more unique instead of like the robotic, if you just like put the velocities all at the same level, right? So for the effects, just put some basic EQ in at first, just cut some of the lows out, boosted some of the highs, put some RC20 on there, final one preset, turn off the noise. Later I put a delay on there with the ping pong effect. It's very subtle, but it like pans it from left to right a bit, and then I put some Valhalla vintage verb on there, mess around with the mix and with the decay. Also put some low cut on there, otherwise if you don't do the low cut, the reverb just blends all in the low end. I don't really fuck with that, so I just put the low cut to like 200 hertz. Somewhere around that area is always fine. So I started with that brass, and then I added some keys on there, since like the melody was very bare. Like it had a lot of reverb to it, of course, but like I always like to have two main melodies to like take some out at the verse. So then I added some keys. For the keys, it's pretty much the same as the brass. I just added some notes up top. I did the same chords, used the same chords as the brass, as you can see right here. The whole melody is in G minor, by the way. I just started out with some basic like triads, and I took out the first two, the top notes of the brass. I added the A sharp here though. Pretty much the same melody. A good tip I can give y'all is go to view, go to skill highlighting, and then click on the G, so you get like all the highlighted notes are in the G minor skill. So then you can't go wrong with the notes and stuff. Then I added this note right here and this note right here. It's the D sharp, just goes up one note, and that gives it like a scary feel. That's a tip I can give y'all. If y'all go up by one note, it always gives like a high tension feeling to the melody. And I added some notes that follow the scale right here up top, just to kind of create a counter melody. Adds like a lot of high end to the melody too, to like fill out the whole frequency spectrum, like makes the melody sound more full. I think I just duplicated these, yeah, from these right here, just to add like more high end to it. Then I turn these velocities down a bunch. Sounds very scary. It's like the two notes I told y'all before. Like it just adds a lot of like scary feeling to the melody. Then I added some bass notes under there. Follows a G, and at the end it goes up to D, then just repeats itself. Copied them over 3, almost 4 times, just add low end to the piano. So it's pretty much like triad chords with some notes added up top. It's nothing like too crazy. Then I just switched up these top notes at the end of the melody to make it unique. It's just experimenting at that point. Like I just copied these over once again. I just played around with some of the notes until I found something that sounded good to me. So for the effects on the piano, I used Keyscape, by the way. Let me check what preset. I used the LA Custom C7 Rock preset. It's like a harsh piano if you compare them to the other like custom grand pianos they have. The rock preset is really like harsh and good for like these aggressive and scary melodies. So I started out with a parametric EQ. Cut out the lows, took some of the mids out, and boosted some of the highs. That's another tip I can give y'all. I see a lot of people doing this with their EQ, but all this does is just like lowers the bottom velocities. So you might want to make sure you go to type and go to high pass. So this really cuts out all the frequencies underneath where you want to cut them. So next I use some RC20, the final 1 preset again. Turn the noise on, and this follow button just makes it so when the piano is kind of silent, there's more like white noise, and when there's a lot going on in the piano, there's not a lot of white noise going on. Added some vintage verb, again the same preset, same preset as the brass. I think I explained this in a previous video, but if you use the same like reverb preset, it kind of sounds like it's all being recorded in like the same room, like the sample is going on in the same room. Just makes it sound a lot more like realistic. So next I added a sub bass or a bass guitar to the melody. It's this wave file right here. I always render out my basses because otherwise you'll have like a small tail to it. Like the bass will like blend out a bit into the 808, where the 808 drops right away. So I always like to render out my basses. But I went into Contact for this bass, or the Scarby Rickenbacker bass, something like that. I need to use the night session preset, and with the melody it sounds like this. So I think the last melody I added was this pattern tune right here. Went to Contact again and used the Chris Hine solo violin. I just messed around with some of these settings because I don't know what all these knobs do, but I wanted like a violin that like pitches up very slowly. Sounds like this, and then it goes down. So it goes from the D to the G, then from the D to the G again, but I just pitch it down 1 octave, and it complements the brass and the piano really well. This is what it sounds like together. So for the effects on the violin, made sure I put a high pass on there, all the low notes cut out, low frequencies. Then I boosted some of the mids, took some of the high mids out, and just kept the high frequencies the same. Put some vintage verb on there. Again, I used a separate or a different preset for this. Made sure it had more like room to it, to make it sound wider and more like tucked in the back. Put the mix knob up more compared to the piano and the brass. And then I put some shaper box. Y'all see me use this a lot. It's like the pan preset to make it go from left to right, to like make it to tuck it even more like in the back. So then y'all see the piano melody changed. I just made it unique and took all the high notes out to like give it some variety, right? To like switch up the piano a bit so like it doesn't sound the same on every single bar. So all the notes you see here, made it unique in this pattern, and I just took them all out. So that adds a lot to like the structuring of the beat, which like gives the listeners some new things to listen to, of course. And like it switched it up a lot. And I added a little tubular bell from Purity on the beginning of every 8 bars. Just the tubular bell preset. I believe I added a delay ping pong preset with like a little low cut. I didn't cut all the lows because I didn't want it to like only have high end. But I just took out some of the lows right here. For the structuring of the melody, it's really nothing crazy. I just started out with the brass, and the piano and the bass. Then I switched the piano up, took all the high notes out, still the brass going on. Then second part of the hook, still brass, added the string, made the piano, added all the high notes. Now for the verse right here, 16 bar verse, I just took the brass out throughout the whole verse to make it so that like not a lot is going on for like the artist to really like have a good verse in this part. I only use the piano in this. Of course, switch it up at the second part, at the violin, but took all the brass out. Then like the bridge right here, got the brass, got the piano, and the bass. So the first thing I added was an 808. Of course, I used the final form 808 of my rookie season drum kit, which I'm gonna release soon. So make sure to follow me on IG to see, stay notified to when I'll drop this kit. So it's like that, and I just followed the bass notes. Followed the G, then it goes back to D. Put a little D sharp in here just to like add some tension. It sounds like this with the melody. So next for the hi-hats, use the rollout hi-hat for my drum kit. Added 2 like low notes, and added some basic third step rolls right here and here. Switch them up right here. That's what that sounds like. But I kept the hi-hats pretty simple since the melody is like really complicated. So either like keep the drums dumb simple and the melody complex, or go for like complex drums to keep the melody simple. That's what I usually go for. Then I clicked Alt or Option R, change the velocities, like randomize the velocities and the padding a bit, to give it like some more like stereo feel. Let's add a basic snare. Just a basic snare pattern. Use the go-to snare for my drum kit for this. Then I add an open hat, also for my drum kit. And for the open hat, I just started out on like the first note. Then I just like randomized it a bit here. That's what that sounds like. So you would expect the open hat to be like right here, but I just delayed it a bit to give it like more bounce, to add more bounce to the drums. And one more right at the end. So those are the drums for the first part of the hook. Then on the second part of the hook, I always like to add a little more drums. Add a little triangle, like right before the ending of every 4 bars. Add a snare, just basic to add like a lot more bounce to it. And I added some rolls at the end. That's what that sounds like with the snare and the triangle. And also with this little roll at the end, I panned out the last two snares to kind of add some like ear candy to the beat. So that's pretty much it for the drums. Of course, at the verse, just kept the open hat at the first part of the verse. Then I took it all the drums, all the perks out. Only kept the snare roll at the end to like transition into the bridge again. Then I waited to add the bass. Otherwise, like the 808 like transitions right into the bass of the verse. So I always like to keep like a silent part here. Add a bass to this part, so like the bridge builds up too. Adds a lot of like tension to the whole beat. So then I just added some transitions from my drum kit too. Added this riser with this transition, and it just adds a lot to the beat too. Like gives the listener, of course, like once again the experience of like something new is coming up in the beat. Then I added this transition in the transition from the hook to the verse, then from the verse to the bridge, and just repeat that. Let it fade out with the automation clip out of my tag, and yeah, that's pretty much it for the beat. So if y'all got some questions, any questions in the comments, any future videos y'all want to see on my channel, make sure to like ask them in the comments. Also make sure to follow me on IG to stay updated and notified to when I drop new videos, or the rookie season drum kit, for example. Got a lot of sounds, got snares, perks, open hats, kicks, hi-hats, claps, got some bonus loops and some 808s. Still working on some of the effects, but as soon as I finish those, the drum kit's done. So you'll see me release this very soon. So yeah, that's pretty much it for me today. If y'all got some questions, of course, as I said, make sure to ask them in the comments. Future video ideas, you can hit me up on IG, or just leave something in the comments. So yeah, thank y'all for watching, and I'm gonna just let the beat play out for the outro. I'll see you on the next video. Take care.